Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Exploring Photography. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, as photographers, sometimes we make creating images a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. Sometimes it's just not that complicated. Now, I want to illustrate that point by showing you these pictures that I shot in Ireland. Some of them are really saturated and lush. A few of them I've created black and white or monochromatic images, and I really like these images, and I've posted them online, and I've had a lot of people asking how they were created. Well, the reason I want to talk about in this episode is, well, as you can see, I'm sort of stranded here in this hotel conference room because outside here in Tanzania, Africa, the weather is so bad I can't get my video gear outside to shoot an episode. It's just rainy and stormy, and that reminded me, when I created these images, it was like that in Ireland. The weather was not behaving. I actually was out to shoot Moore's Castle. I got one image that I thought was sort of okay, but the sky was just not behaving. We had some clouds that were rolling in, we had rain coming on and off, and there were lots of tourists honking their horns and stuff. And so it was an episode that I started to shoot but never finished. But we got enough footage that I can sort of show you how I created these images, and it wasn't very difficult, and then how I did the post-processing. Again, not so difficult. So let's begin in Ireland, where the weather was just not behaving. Well, on a day when the sun is not behaving and you don't have great light, there is one thing that you can do when you're shooting scenic photos if you're near water. Now, just outside of Moore's Castle, there are these tree stands that are in ponds, and there's water everywhere. And the nice thing that you can do is, instead of shooting the trees and the sky, you're not going to get a good shot because it's outside the dynamic range of most digital cameras. But you can take that camera and point it down toward the water, and then what you'll get instead is a reflection of the sky. And because it's a reflection, it's going to be much darker than the actual sky, and you can get some awesome photos of the tree stands, the silhouettes, the reflection of the sky, the clouds, and all of that stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of explore around here and take a few photos of the tree stands and the sky, and we'll see exactly what we get. As you can see, it wasn't very difficult to capture those images. It's just not that difficult all the time. The key was to point the camera down at the water and then focus my camera at hyperfocal. I had my aperture set at f11 so everything would be in focus, and an ISO of 200. Now, once I had those, I threw them into Lightroom. And again, very simple process to get those from good to great. So let's take a look at that right now. Here are a few of the images that I shot in Ireland. Now, all of these have something in common when they're finished, they're very saturated, like this image here, and they've got just a lot of contrast to them. Now, I didn't go through and retouch each one of these individually. What I did was I did one, and then I applied those settings to the rest of the images, either very saturated, contrasty images or black and white images like this one. So let me dive in and show you exactly how that happened, because it's really simple. I'm going to go to the Develop module here, and the first thing I want to do with this image is it's got a little bit of parking lot at the top, so I'm going to crop that out. So I'm just going to go to the crop tool and then quickly get rid of that, and we're off to the races. The first thing I do usually when I'm looking at an image is I'll adjust the color temperature. Now, for this image, I want to bring out some of that blue sky, and so I'm going to take my color temperature and I'm going to take that down to about, the 4300 range, something like that. I'm eyeballing these don't have to be really specific. The other thing I want to do with this one is I want to bring the exposure down so I get a little bit more of the detail in the sky. So I'm going to go to the exposure, bring that down to just a little over half a stop, so around 0.7, something like that. And now we're getting there. Now I can play with the tonality. I can open up the shadows. Let's do that by cranking those up to around the 70 mark, 78, something like that. And then I'll create more contrast by taking the black levels down to about -15. We're getting there, but what I really want is more contrast or clarity, and that is why this clarity slider was invented. It really can help you make something sharp and contrasty. So I'm going to increase this to around the 30 range, so something like that. Really getting there. we want some more color. Now on import, I had the vibrance set to +15. I'm just going to take my saturation, bring all the colors up just a little bit, so +5. That looks pretty darn good. The only thing that I want to do to this to make it look a little bit better is I know that I have some color here in the sky, some blue. So what I'm going to do here is go down and just adjust the saturation of the blue color channel. So down here under saturation, I'm going to grab the blue slider and I'm going to increase that way up here until I see something that I like. So I don't want to overdo it, but I think that looks pretty darn good. So I can hit the Y key and show you the before and after. It only took a few seconds and we got something that looks so much better. Okay, now let's go and adjust this second image here. This image looks like it should be a black and white image that has a lot of line, it has a lot of contrast, it has a lot of shape. That is what we want for a black and white image. So again, let's go over to the develop module. So I've hit my D shortcut key to get to the develop module. And then what I'm going to do first, I just want to play with the white balance to see what we can do. And just for fun, instead of taking it and cooling it off, let's warm it up here and see what we get. It's not looking so good. So black and white is the correct way to go. So I'm not going to desaturate this because I want the ability to adjust each of the colors individually and adjust those luminosity. So I'm going to click black and white treatment at the top, and already this is looking better than we started with. So now let's adjust some of the tonality. So we'll go into the shadows. Let's open those up. So I'm going to bring those open to about 30, something like that. And then the white levels, I'd like to increase those as well. So let's take those up. That looks about right. Again, I'm just eyeballing this, looking at my histogram over here and looking to see what I'm getting. It's not enough contrast for me, so I'm going to take my black levels down just a little bit. And getting there, again, that clarity slider was invented for this kind of thing. So I'm going to really crank up the clarity here to about 40, 41, something like that. And I think that's pretty good. The only thing I don't like about this image is it looks almost infrared. We have too much white in the top and the bottom of this image there. And so what I can do, and this is why I converted this to a black and white treatment, is now I can go and figure out which color this is and adjust that color slider to change the luminosity of that. I don't know what color it's affecting there. So what we can do here in Lightroom is there's this little dot right here. If you click on that, then you can adjust the black and white mix by dragging on the photo directly. So I'm going to click on that, go up here, oops, I got to click on it, click on that, go up here to this area that's white, this bark, click and pull down, and now you can see that I'm affecting just that color. It looks like it's the yellow, and so then I can go down here, put this away, and now just play with the yellow slider and get the exact look that I want. So I think about there is pretty darn good. Whoops, right there is pretty darn good. And you can see here's the before and after. That black and white looks spectacular. All right, so the last image we're going to do, and you can see this is really quick and easy, is this image right here. Now notice it looks almost identical to the other one that we started with. And so instead of going through and adjusting everything, I'm just going to click on this one that we just adjusted, and I'm going to command click on the second one, and then sync settings. And I'm going to say sync everything, just sync it all. And so now this second image has all the settings that I just made on this first image, and we'll start there. It's really fast to do that. This looks pretty good, but I want to do something different. And so I'm going to go to the left panel in the develop module, and I'm going to use one of the Lightroom color presets, and I'm going to choose cold tone. So as soon as I click that, we have this really interesting look. I like that. It's almost done, but what we need to do is we need to adjust some of the contrast. It's not as contrasty as I want, and we need to fix some of the issues that we'll see here in the top. So instead of going through and adjusting the highlights and the shadows and the blacks and all of that kind of stuff to get the contrast to be what I want, I'm just going to use the contrast slider. It's there, why not use it? So I'm just going to increase that to about 35, 40. Looks pretty good. The last thing I want to do is fix this up here. You can see some of the detail in this branches. Well, it's just sort of going away. So that's in the highlights of this image. And so what I'll do is I'll just take those highlights and crank them all the way down, and that fixes the issue up there. That's all there is to it. Again, here is a before and after look. You can see with just a few clicks, we were able to create some amazing images. And that's all there is to it. You don't have to do a lot. You can just adjust the tonality of already good images to make them great. As you can see, creating great images doesn't always have to be complicated. Make sure you have an environment that looks great, and then do some minor modifications in Lightroom or Photoshop. You'll publish those and people will love them for years to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Exploring Photography. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. Click the button and do that today. I will see you again next time.